Hey guys, Ruby Sapphire Investments here today. And in today's video topic, I wanted to discuss a very popular question that's been kind of floating around the YouTube space or Facebook groups or Reddit. And that is, should I be buying Destined Rivals booster boxes at the current time? And in today's video, I wanted to use it as a case study on product maturation and kind of circumstantial market conditions to really understand what I should be doing with my money with respect to Destined Rivals booster boxes. Um, at the time, booster boxes are $550, which is an insane astronomical price. I know over the last few days or maybe the last couple of weeks, prices kind of have pulled back just a tad bit. But we all know that as long as there is not a restock, prices will continue to rise. And there are folks out there speculating that if restocks don't happen, then the price may rise as high as $1,000 by late summer, which is an insane thing to say for a set that is so young. But before we can kind of make the determination on whether I should be spending money on Destined Rivals booster boxes at current prices, we need to take a look at some historical examples within Scarlet and Violet. And the first one that I wanted to discuss is Paldea Evolved. So for some background, Paldea Evolved released in June of 2023. And at that time, Pokemon was still not in the current hype that it's currently in. And prices of those booster boxes fell as low as $90 actually between the July, August, and September months of 2023. And during the 2025 boom, prices dramatically rose from 210 up to 480 between February and September of last year, which is an insane price growth. And part of the reason that this price was driven was because of the chase set, the chase card, which is the Magikarp SIR. Shinji did really, really well this past year, and this card was pumped to oblivion. And not to discredit it at all. There is a very low PSA gem rate of just about 17%. So that is part of the reason why this Magikarp fetches PSA 10 prices of over $2,000. Um, and then there was a retrace from that September high of $480 back down to about $350, which is, if you do the math, it's about a 28% drop from all-time highs. And ever since then, there has been organic growth back into it at prices just hovering around 417, 420. This screenshot here indicates that the most recent sale was about $450. I just picked one up just this past weekend for $380, which I thought was a great deal. But what's important that we can learn from Paldea Evolved, even with a set with a very desired chase card, retraces are suspect to happen, especially when booster box prices rise as quickly as it did between February of 2025 and September of 2025, with the retrace of about 28%. Um, Pivoting a little bit, I wanted to also discuss another popular booster box within the Scarlet Violet era, Surging Sparks. In my previous videos, I've really discussed how much I am very bullish on Surging Sparks. It's the set that got a lot of people back into the hype. Um, and it released in November 2024. And for note, that's only 6 months older than Destined Rivals. And prices peaked to about $300 within September of 2025. And then shortly after that, there was a large restock of Surging Sparks. Um, you could find it in almost any vending machine locally within my area. There were boxes, even to this day, still floating around for as low as 220, 210, 200. I capitalized on that, and I picked as many up for about the $200 price point. Um, so that price drop was about a 25% haircut from all-time highs. And ever since then, there's been some slow organic growth back into the value or cost of these booster boxes, because I personally believe that that was probably the last wave of restocks we'll be seeing for Surging Sparks, given that there are so many other products that Pokemon Center Pokemon company really needs to be prioritizing. Even with all these new printing facilities, there's still a whole bunch of products within Scarlet and Violet that they need to prioritize, such as Journey Together, some Prismatic, but I believe that that's coming to its tail end as well. Destined Rivals potentially, Black Bolt, White Flare, and then everything up to the Mega Block, including the new sets, Chaos Rising, um, as well as the upcoming 30th anniversary. So, with everything that's going on right now, I can't imagine that Surging Sparks is set for at least restocks of booster boxes. And part of the reason why this price is set at this current market price of about $270 is the Pikachu SIR. I know that there is a lot of controversy surrounding it. A lot of people don't like this card. I personally do. But it doesn't matter what you or I think. There are tons of people that are willing to pay the price for it in a PSA 10, which is about $800, and a PSA gem rate of about 33%. There will always be desire for Surging Sparks. And over these next few weeks into months and into the rest of 2026, I imagine that we will return back to its all-time high of $300, probably by the end of the year, just through its organic growth. And what's important here is with a very, very modern set, Surging Sparks is still a very new set, very infant in the grand scheme of what's available on the market right now. We saw a large set of reprints or restocks, whatever you want to call it, during the peak of Pokemon hysteria with everything else that Pokemon company needed to prioritize as well. We saw a large amount of restocks occurring. And Destined Rivals, if it's going to follow potentially the same path as Surging Sparks, a very wildly popular set, I can't imagine that it is not susceptible to the same pattern. I imagine that Destined Rivals would potentially get a restock of sorts. Um, and for some calculations here, uh, it only dropped about 25% from all-time highs, even with that large amount of reprints. Now, turning our eyes to Destined Rivals. Destined Rivals released back in May of 2025, which is only about 9 months old at the time of this recording in February of 2025. And recently, over the last few weeks, there have been restocks of ETBs, booster bundles, and sleeved packs, but nothing for the booster box, which is part of the reason why there's been so much dramatic growth over the last several months. If you take a look at this screenshot that I have, it went from as low as $260 up to an insane price of $500, $600 over the last few weeks. And part of the reason why this rise in price is because this set is just incredibly popular. It's a Team Rocket themed set. With 30th anniversary coming around, this is a product that is attractive to both older and younger audiences. Oops, typo right there. And even it's reflected in the current top chases. There's a lot of chases within the set. This is an incredibly stacked and deep set with the Mewtwo SAR with a 20% gem rate fetching prices as high as $1,200, and the Cynthia's Garchomp gem rate of 25%. Market price for PSA 10s is about $500, and Ethan's Ho-Oh gem rate of about 26%, with a PSA 10 market price of about $400. And this is just the top three cards within the set. There are tons of other products that are desirable to a bunch of folks. For example, the Nidoking is an incredibly popular card. The Houndoom, there's a lot of cards in here that are just super incredibly popular. So I can understand partially why the price is set as it is, even though I still think that that's an incredibly dramatic and insane price to have. And there was even a restock of Destined Rivals booster boxes, not a lot, of about theorized to be about anywhere between 15 to 25,000 on PokemonCenter.com within the US markets. And that dropped prices at the time in September of 2025 from all-time highs at that time of 490 down to about $370. And those products got quickly absorbed by the market. People were out there buying these prices after they had dropped to about a 25% reduction. And what's important here is that we do have evidence that Destined Rivals is susceptible to a restock. It wasn't a large one, but Pokemon Center is at least aware of the priority to restock it to some degree. And even then, for such a small restock, it had a 25% drawback. But we also know that within Pokemon investing, it's important to find those blue chip stocks. And Destined Rivals is kind of seen as that blue chip booster box for the Scarlet Violet era. And we know that over a long term period, 5, 10 plus years, that Destined Rivals will yield very strong and high and positive returns. Um, so a 25% drawback here for Destined Rivals, and then about a 25% drawback also for Surging Sparks, and then about a 28% drop for Paldea Evolved. You can kind of sense a pattern here. So, what is my final verdict? Should I be buying Destined Rivals booster boxes at this time? Um, and my answer is kind of multiple fold. If you want a quick flip, then I don't believe that you should. I think that a restock is potentially susceptible over these next few months. And if we see a price drop of about 25 to 30%, as we've seen with other top tier booster boxes of the Scarlet Violet era, then you may be potentially at a loss here. So I don't think that um, you should be doing this if you want a quick flip. But this is a long-term Pokemon sealed investing channel. We don't talk about quick flips around here. We talk about a time horizon of 3, 4, 5, 10 plus years. So if you want a long-term hold, then maybe. Um, my opinion here is twofold again. It ultimately depends on your risk tolerance. If you have a high risk tolerance, if I have a high risk tolerance, then um, understanding that you are holding this for the long term, 5 plus years, then I don't ever think that there is ultimately a bad time to buy. Understanding that this booster box is that blue chip of the era, that it will do super well 5 plus years from now. And over the next 5 years, if prices were to drop because of a reprint or if market conditions change, then we know that the market is going to quickly absorb that, and everyone's going to be buying as many as they possibly can. And it's not as bad idea to just dollar cost average it over into this product over the next few years, because having a lot of Destined Rivals boxes is not going to be a terrible idea in the long term. Um, and if we do see a 25 to 30% restock drop, if a restock does occur, then at current prices, as of today, then it'll only drop to about $400. Um, that's a pretty penny from a $550, $600 current market price. But I think when you are looking at a booster box that may be $2,000, $3,000 in 5, 10 plus years, then I think the $100 to $200 price difference is a little negligible, as long as you have the opportunity at this time to buy at a lower cost price. I mentioned here that the best time to buy a product will always be yesterday. So I think that if you have a high risk tolerance and you are here for the long term, then it wouldn't be the worst idea to buy it. However, if you have a low risk tolerance or maybe a medium risk tolerance, if you want more stability and security, I would encourage you to look towards other sets that have had their time in the market, such as Paldea Evolve or Surging Sparks, the other two sets that I discussed in this video. And these sets kind of remind me of Silver Tempest, at least Paldea Evolve and Surging Sparks, where there's just this really insane top chase, either in the Magikarp and Paldea Evolve or the Pikachu within Surging Sparks, while the Silver Tempest really only has the Lugia. I know there's that Rayquaza, but the Lugia is what everyone's really after. And over the last several years, even with all the restocks or reprints that Silver Tempest had, it's had very slow organic growth. And this type of investment is really risk free. And the best types of investments, in my opinion, the ones that I practice within my more traditional investment strategies in my brokerage accounts or in my 401k or my IRA or my HSA, are the ones that you can sit on it and forget about it. The ones that you can buy something, forget that you have it, and then in several years you can come back and reap the benefits of it. The ones that really have low risk and you don't have to stress about it. And Destined Rivals at this time is not that type of an investment with so much volatility within the market. I just don't believe that Destined Rivals is one of those ones that you can sit on it and forget about it if you are one that is susceptible and fearful of month-to-month trends. You need to be looking at this from a long-term, multiple-year window. And taking a look at other market conditions. Over the last several weeks, metals such as gold and silver or other alternative investments such as Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, there have had a large retrace to some degree. Um, and that has only reflected or made me understand that consumer sentiment, the average investor, the sentiment is very finicky right now. And that's partially due to a lot of things, such as geopolitical conditions. There's a lot of wars going on. There's a lot of political hostility, at least within the U.S. Well, at least within the U.S. relationships amongst many other world leaders or countries right now. Interest rates, at least within the U.S., um, have been a very hot topic as of recently. Um, Inflation and maybe stagnant job growth. And the fact that both inequity and inequality amongst younger folks being folks that I imagine may be looking towards alternative investments such as Pokemon or other collectibles or One Piece or whatever else, it's very finicky. And you don't know what what will happen for a set that may be quote unquote unstable with so much volatility, such as within Destined Rivals. So my answer here is if you have a low or medium risk tolerance, then probably don't. I mentioned here within the high risk tolerance that if we saw a 25 to 30% reduction to about $400, that's about a drop of about $150 to $200, and that's a lot of money. That's almost the price of a Surging Sparks booster box in of itself. Um, and I think that if you are one that is very conscious about how you're uh, utilizing your capital and what the day-to-day, month-to-month trends are, and you want to find something that is ultimately risk-free, then I wouldn't really encourage you to be putting some money into Destined Rivals. Um, at least a lot of it, because I do believe that a reprint or restock or whatever you want to call it is bound to happen. So yeah, that is my thoughts on to whether you should be putting some money or buying into Destined Rivals at current market prices. Please do let me know your thoughts. I did really enjoy making this video just because it allowed me to kind of do a lot of research into other booster boxes, especially Paldea Evolve, one that I am several years late coming into. Um, but yeah, please let me know what your thoughts are. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.